Hi, welcome to this special video today on the three biggest mistakes that people make when they launch their products online. I'm Minders Glover of Beyond Productive, and I am a product launch consultant. And I'm here today with my good friend, Angela Florez, who is an agency owner and helps people implement their launches. So what I want to do today first is tell you about our upcoming Momentum Launch Challenge. And you can go and check that out at momentumlaunchchallenge.com. And Angela, why don't you tell them just a little bit about what that's about?
Absolutely. Thank you, Minders, for having me here. So before we get started with this video on the three biggest mistakes that online marketers make when launching, we want to tell you about our upcoming challenge that's starting very soon. And it's all about taking that idea in your head, turning it into a product, and put cash in your bank account. A lot of people fail when launching and then they don't put money in their bank account and they feel like a failure. So this video and the upcoming challenge that we want you to join is all about launching the right way, launching successfully so that you can put that money into your bank account.
Awesome. So why don't we jump right into the three biggest launch mistakes? So the first one is failing to plan. Now, these mistakes we get from people who we talk to, who communicate back from questions we ask in our email list and in social media, and of course in working with clients, both from the strategy and the planning end, which is my forte, and then of course the implementation end from Angela. So we've pulled these to these three. And so failing to plan, what is that all about? Well, typically people think that if they start doing action, just do it, as the Nike saying goes, you know, that there's a bias towards action, that somehow it'll all come together. Well, contrary to that logic, planning is what really makes it all come together, because you've got everything set out in advance, and by having that advanced thought, you allow room for new insights to come along the way. So planning is the first and most important element in getting it right in launches. And then in relation to that is not having the right tools to go about planning. So what are some of those tools? So in our challenge, the first thing we do is we give you a roadmap, which is a tool that gives an overview of not only planning an individual launch, but in planning your entire business, one launch after another, or what we call a sequence of launches. And then, of course, you need a way to manage the whole thing, a dashboard, so to speak, where you can see what's going on in a launch and in your entire business. So that's the first tool. The other tool I want to talk about, then I'll give it to Angela, is a launch checklist. Now, there's no better way to make sure that you're on top of your launch than have a checklist that covers all aspects that go into pre-planning your launch itself, the cart open period, all of the product and social media preparation and everything else. So that's a big part of it, and we'll be sharing that as well. Angela, on to you.
Awesome. So tools are so important. When we don't have the right tools to plan and implement, we tend to get lost. So for planning, there are certain tools that you really need, and very basic things like a calendar. Okay, put all of your deliverables, all of your milestones in a calendar so that you know if your goal is realistic, if you're going to be able to do all the things that you need to do to launch before your launch date. If not, okay, now you have an idea and you can move your goal a little bit further away. And also, like, know how to predict your long-term success. During the Momentum Launch Challenge, we are going to introduce amazing tools that will allow you to understand how to predict that success, those tools that you need in order to plan. Okay, these are the numbers that I need. These are the number of leads that I need to get in to get to that long-term goal. So these tools are like, when you, for example, you're gardening and you don't have the right shovel, how do you plan to dig a big hole if you don't have the right tools? It's exactly the same with launching and planning. You need these specific tools to be able to predict and keep track of your launch. So don't forget to join the challenge to get more insight into those tools that we're going to give you to do your planning and implementation.
Great. Now let's jump right into the big mistake number 2, and that is not sticking with one thing. So this is different from failing to plan in that people don't tend to have one strategy moving forward and stick with the implementation of that. Instead, what they tend to do is to go with the flow, or they take the idea of, hey, I just got introduced to the latest, greatest marketing method, and let me go and scrap the idea that I had, even if I had a plan, and let me go off on this side track. I call that sideways marketing rather than vertical marketing. So we're proposing that you get passionate about vertical marketing, taking one launch, looking at the results of that, and building upon it for the next launch, sticking with one particular idea that you have well planned and just sticking with it all the way to the end.
Yeah, that happens a lot. We've had a lot of clients that when they launch, right, we expect certain numbers. We say, okay, our funnel needs to convert at 20%, and we launch and it's converting at 5%. A lot of people at this point, they just want to give up. They want to say, like, you know what, this product doesn't work and I'm going to switch gears. But what you need to do is stick to that plan, make the changes that you need inside of that launch that you're doing to make your goals, to hit your goals. So we had a client, that exact same thing happened. We launched the funnel, we launched the ads, and we were getting 5% conversion rate. And we were losing money because it was a physical product. So it cost more to produce the product than what we were making on the funnel. So the client was like, oh, this is not working. And we said, okay, let's stick to this. We're going to make it work. Don't give up on it. We're going to make it work. We made some changes in the funnel. We changed the headline. We tried different videos. We tried different offers. The offer was the same, but adding different things to that offer. You can have a product is just like one thing. In this case, it was a weight loss product. So we started adding things to that offer. Why don't we add an informational product? Why don't we add a one-to-one session? So we started tweaking little things until we got an almost 40% conversion rate on that order form. And we started making $30,000 a month. But the only way that we were able to achieve that was by not giving up. We stuck to the plan, we kept going, we hit our numbers, and we made it. So that takes me to the next mistake. The next mistake, the third one, the third biggest mistake that people make when launching is not tracking their numbers, right? People have no idea what their numbers are. They start doing Facebook ads, they start doing funnels, but they don't know their numbers. They don't know if it's working or not. And they don't know if it's the ad that is not working or if it's the funnel that it's not working. When in reality, you have certain KPIs that you need to track along the entire marketing funnel, from the front end in your ads to your sales funnel, to be able to hit your goals. So a lot of people, they just launch and they have no idea what their numbers are. They don't know what they what the KPIs are and what they should be hitting in order to hit that goal. They say, okay, I'm going to launch and I'm going to make $10,000 with this launch, but they don't know how many leads they need to get those $10,000. They don't know how much their funnel needs to convert. So one of the biggest mistakes that you can do in your launch is not tracking your numbers. Your numbers tell a story.
So you can see a theme that really goes throughout all of these three mistakes has to do with financials and numbers. And so Angela was just talking about how the numbers are revealing in your funnel stats and of course in your ad stats. But even if we step back to something more global, let's look at your budget and your cash flow projections. So in your budget, you have the ability not only to track the numbers of what various investments you're making in your launch in people, resources, software, et cetera, but you can also use those numbers in order to make decisions. So for example, before you bring on staff, such as a copywriter or a design person or what have you onto your launch, you want to make sure that you're expecting and you plan for reasonably enough volume to cover those expenses so that you don't go upside down in a launch. Now, the last thing relative to tracking your numbers is that in the challenge, we're going to talk about two different approaches to tracking your numbers in real time. One of them is a software tool where you can actually plan and follow in real time the results of your metrics on a launch. Everything from your ads to your conversions onto your web pages, to your follow-up program, et cetera. All of those numbers in an individual launch are tracked. But beyond that, you need a way to track your numbers through sequential launches and as your whole business works to try to achieve the financial goals that you set up front in that planning process, that mistake number one we talked about. So we're going to introduce to you a sequential financial projection process that enables you to update your numbers and see how quickly you can get to your financial targets with the plan that you set about for your business. So come and join us with this challenge that's starting here in just a few days. So again, I want to invite you to go to momentumlaunchchallenge.com and we'll see you soon.